Welcome back to the Mountain Witch Tarot channel. I am your host, Sarah, and today we are doing a Lenormand Oracle Grand Tableau for Donald Trump. And this will be, I've already done like the first half of the month, so this will be kind of like the last part of October. And we may do one, we may do two, so I may have another video up at some point, just depending on how active things get. The topics we will be covering today, let's see, I've got them written down. Okay, we're going to be looking for an Epstein update. We are going to be looking for a health update. We're going to look for scandals. And we're also going to look for clues about the desecration of the White House. I know a lot of people are really upset about this, and I am too. I think it's just, awful. So we're going to look and see if there's anything. We may have to do a whole reading on that by itself, but we're going to look and see if there's any clues as to how that may go, or if, something might happen to get in his way, to put a stop to it. It's really ridiculous in a time when people are suffering and struggling to pay bills and buy food and medication. He is spending that much taxpayer money on something so frivolous. So we're going to take a look at it today. Before we get started, if you don't mind, please take a moment, hit the like button. And if you're new here and you enjoy political divination, hit the subscribe, stick around, become part of the community. All right, let's go ahead and lay out this grand tableau. So I took a few cards out of the deck in case you see these laying down in the corner, just so you know what they are. There's two extra significators that come with the Reign of George deck. And there is the incense burner and the spirit card. Now, I didn't see that these would be necessarily helpful in this reading because we're just going to use our standard reassignments. I went ahead and omitted those two, and these two we don't need because we already have two. Just want to let you know what these four cards are over in the corner down here. So my first reactions here, interestingly enough, I think we are going to get some clues about the state of the White House. Of course, this will change, so be sure you stick around for the end of the video where I do like all of the interpretations. But it is really interesting here that we are starting off with a hint of some type of public situation having access, and this could be either big, powerful, protective. It's a big deal. Now we'll know as the cards come out, we'll have more context to go on. Now, if you look right here, we've got the crossroads, the coffin, and the White House. So there's something that these cards are going to reveal to us that takes an interesting direction that leads to some type of ending. Okay, and it has something to do with the White House, something to do with a block or an obstacle, and something to do with a lot of people talking about it. So this could be online chatter, this could be critics, this could be the news media, could be just about anybody, to be quite honest. So let me make sure my line is straight, and we will go ahead and get line 2. Trump is showing up in the second line of his tableau for the end of October. And interestingly enough, he is very close to whatever this energy is up here. He's right underneath the access or key card. So we have the heart to his left, which means that this is something that's important to him. I'm excited. This could be big. So let's keep going. Oh, very interesting. Now, the bouquet card is a card of pleasantries and things that make you happy and, flattery and things like that. So definitely kind of building on the idea that this has something to do with the ballroom. Now, we've got the first two cards of the heart of the story, which is always the center 4 cards in a grand tableau. And we have the child card and the fish card. So that could indicate some type of growing financial situation or a new abundance of something. Have to remember to put my fate line down here. I always forget. Interestingly enough, towards the end of the second row, We have the tree card. So the tree card is where we look to see updates on Donald Trump's health. We also have the rider and we have the clover. Now, we don't really have enough details so far to know exactly what the update on his health is. So we're going to just keep going and get the third line down. Secret circles is the first thing that came to mind. So in regard to these two cards, now this is the second half of the center of the story. And remember, up here we had the child and the fish. Well, down here we've got the ring in the book. Now the ring, if you're new here, if you haven't seen me do this before, we reassign it to mean Donald Trump's alliances. So this could be anybody he's affiliated with that isn't the administration or his loyalists, like his well-known loyalists. So I usually say shadowy alliances. I know that's kind of a silly term for it, but that's what I like to call it. So this is his shadowy alliances. Now think about the Young Republicans news report that came out here recently. Those would be the type of people that fit into this category. So could be looking at something to do with that, because we do have like an abundance or growing abundance of secret circles. Could be some type of revelation. Perhaps since that Young Republican situation came to mind pretty quickly for me, it could have something to do with that. And we are asking about a scandal. So that could be what we're looking at here. The beginning of the third line, we have the letter, the ship, and the lilies. Now this is about communication, progress, and we reassign the lilies to be his presidential duty to the country. I know, right? So we'll have to get some more context for that one. So let's keep going. Interesting. Okay, so what we've got here, and this is one of the bonus cards, and I left it in just to see if it would come out, if maybe there was a message, about possibly his work. We're going to just say work because that's what this card means. So kind of at a glance, based on what's in the rest of this line here, it kind of looks like maybe whatever the situation is, whether it's the Young Republican situation or if it's something similar, it's going to cause a lot of worry and strain. It's going to kind of eat away and chip away at something. It's going to be kind of feeling like big energy here. Like this is not really something that's small and easily forgotten. I feel like this is something that's kind of possibly a big deal. We'll get more context. And it has something to do with work. So they're directly going to affect Trump more than likely, unless we get like a loyalist or an administration card down here. So let's keep going. First thing that came to mind, the two words I thought of, well, three words technically, predator and prey. Now that's not necessarily what the snake and the stork card mean in Lenormand, but that's what came to my mind, so I'm going to throw it out there. This card is also a bonus card. I left it in because you guys know I usually use the Maybe Lenormand, and it has a sick bed card. And we've been using the sick bed to kind of follow updates for his health. Well, I left it in this deck, but it's like a spicy romantic bed. But just so the universe knows, we're asking about Trump's sick bed. We don't want to know anything about his sex life. Okay, let's make sure that the universe knows. That's not what we're asking for, because ew. So just wanted to point that out because that is a new card. And we have the administration coming in. The scythe, uh-oh. Could be cutting some weight, cutting something that's holding someone back, holding someone down. Oh boy, loyalists. My oh my. So we've got, let's go ahead and get the last fake card line. So we've got the administration coming in with the scythe and the anchor and the cross and the loyalist. Now this is going to take some deciphering because there's a lot going on there. But at a glance, it kind of looks like maybe we're seeing something to do with some type of rift between the administration and the loyalists. We'll see. We'll see. Let's go ahead and scoot up our fate line, and we're going to flip these cards over and see what we got. So we got the stars, the clouds, the fox, and the moon. All right, let's get started on our interpretations. The first thing I'll say is it doesn't look like it's going to be too busy towards the end of the month for Donald Trump. He's kind of situated in this cozy position here where he's, it's almost like he's off in his own world of his desires and his wants and just, whimsy things like that. So I don't think he's really going to engage too much for the rest of the month in anything too serious. We do have a few serious things kind of cropping up in the spread. Let's go ahead and start with the fate line because I think it's very cryptic, and I'm not entirely sure what this is in regard to, but we have kind of like spreading confusion and sneaky reputations. So I feel like that's going to be a little bit of a theme for the end of October. Now, I think that this is not just for Trump. I think this has something to do with the loyalists and the administration themselves, because a lot of these cards kind of lead back to one area of the energy. Like if we look at reputation, we nod it to the top, we go to the book, which is probably secret information, revelations, things like that, knowledge that they're keeping under wraps. Also nods to the sun. So it's kind of like there is a theme here regarding messaging, reputations. I'm getting a real big energy about like the kind of thing we saw with those young Republicans and the text message leak. I'm really having a hard time getting my mind away from that. So I feel like that's coming through pretty strong. So for scandals, it's something along those lines. Now, this may be a new problem. It may be talking about the one we're already aware of, but it may possibly be a new one because we do have the child card here as well as the fish. And that's a pretty good indicator that whatever this situation is, it's possibly growing larger or more abundant in some way. So it could be that there are more people ousted as time goes on, or perhaps that scenario expands in some way. I think this is going to have some type of impact on the loyalists in the administration, because down here, if we go to the administration, we're kind of seeing them have to cut away at something that is heavy and burdensome. And on the other side, we have the loyalists. So it could be that they are cutting out some loyalists. They are, having to maybe possibly publicly speak on some of these issues where some of their loyalists are getting outed for, terrible behavior. It may just be that we see several mentions of this whole situation, throughout the end of the month. But I feel like it's just a little bit bigger than that, because I think the whole fate line is in regard to this situation. And in fact, I think this whole side of the tableau is about that. Meanwhile, Donald Trump's up here living his best life. Like, he's as far away from this mess as he can possibly get. He doesn't want any part of this. He's staying really far away from it, and just focusing on what I believe to be the White House and the ballroom. Now, let's take a look at the White House up here, because one of our questions was, can we get some clues or hints about the desecration of the White House? So the White House itself is flanked by the coffin and the mountain, an ending and a block. Below it, we kind of see, sometimes I think this card is Caroline Levitt. I can't help but think of her for the messenger. But this is like some type of news or information coming out about basically decay, obstacles, like little bitty problems. In this, I feel like there is possibly some type of standstill at some point. So looks like they may not have the best time or the easiest time with what they're doing to the White House, because like I said, we've got, the coffin and the mountain. We also have the birds, which is a good indicator that whatever this is creating some sort of anxiety to some degree. Could be a small degree, could be big. But if we look back over to Trump, we kind of see that the cards indicate some type of possibly controlled messaging. I feel like, with the bear and the garden, there's something protected in regard to being open or open access to the public. So they're trying to either hide something or they're really working hard to control a narrative. And it just so happens to be that this is in line with the White House here. So kind of getting the sense that whatever's going on, and they may hit some type of problems where, the White House is old. There may be some type of construction problems that poses a problem for moving forward with this desecration. But I think they're going to try their best to keep it hidden, keep it under wraps, and try to steer the narrative off one path and onto the other. Kind of for that whole reputation factor. Because Trump wants to look big and strong and powerful, and he doesn't want to look like he's been outsmarted by some bad wiring from 100 years ago, or something crazy like that. Now, it's interesting to point out here where Trump's hiding up in the corner. We've got the bouquet, and then we've got the lily below it. And I think this is a pretty good indicator that Donald Trump is once again putting frivolous pleasures ahead of his responsibilities as president. And I just wanted to point that out because I thought it was just, so on point for him. Now, this part's really interesting too, and it's in his row here. We're looking for a health update or some type of clues about his health. I think for the rest of the month at least, he is going to completely disregard his health. He's not going to put any effort into doing anything to take care of himself. And he's just going to be completely carefree. So whatever has him distracted right now, he is really enjoying himself. And I hate that for him. Never a good day when Donald Trump's having fun, but is that too spicy? Am I being too snippy? I don't know. Now that we've covered most of our questions, the big one here is, is there any type of update on the Epstein files? I don't necessarily reassign this card to represent the Epstein files, but a lot of times I find that it does. And after kind of looking at this for a little bit, I think that's what it's representing here, because some of this energy here feels a little bit jumbled and doesn't make a tremendous amount of sense with the context. So I think we only have a few cards to indicate what we might possibly expect with the Epstein files and, for the last half of October. There is some slow progress, and it's, patience. I feel like in this circumstance, slow progress and patience kind of goes together. We do have a reference here with the ring to inner circles and secrets and decay and worries and stresses and all of those types of bad things. And then we have the sun and the marketplace. So I feel like these two cards together probably by this point at the line, I think these probably are feeding into the energy over here. So I don't think they're really relevant to what we saw here. Now, what this tells me is that the energy is pretty low around the Epstein files right now, because there's just not much here. I don't see much at all. What I do see, however, is the snake card, which is a card of treachery and malice and, hidden problems and things like that. And then the stork card, which is a card of change, transformation, moving away from something. And then we have the bed. And you remember how I said, hey, universe, this is for the sick bed. We don't want to know about Trump's sex life. I think it kind of is showing up in this block to indicate the sex crimes. Okay, so I don't think we're getting any health energy off of the bed card this time. Just wanted to point that out. But the only message here, really, as far as the Epstein files go, is slow progress and patience. But again, a ray of light here is that we're only looking at the last part of October. So, like I said, this doesn't seem like the busiest tableau. Doesn't seem like there's a whole lot going on. Besides, I think the thing that's going to take up the most time, space, and energy is really kind of this scandal with the youth and, like deep secrets and abundance of maybe people involved or like many people involved. And these people are part of Trump's extended circle, So these are not just random nobodies. These are people that Trump knows. And they are kind of getting outed for what it is that they've been doing behind closed doors. I don't get a big energy here of any really profound impact. Certainly because Trump is, like I said, he's staying away from this situation. And, the administration probably is at the root of that. I think they kind of steer him in the directions to keep his nose clean for him because he can't do it himself. This is all kind of falling on the head of the administration and the loyalists, and then back to this heavy burden that's weighing them down, having to be cut out. Now, one of the last things I want to point out, we always do the four corners, okay? Big emphasis on the snake card over here. I feel like this is kind of steering people, and I mentioned this, so it's interesting that it's doubling up on this message, steering people and steering gossip into like public gossip, coercing people involving the loyalists into some type of belief. Okay, there's something that they're going to have to do some damage control on this month. I don't think it's like the hugest thing ever, but it is something that is in the public eye that people are talking about, gossiping about. And I think, that probably also ties into the fate line down here. And whatever it is with this snake card, this is kind of the biggest energy coming in, manipulation, of the loyalists. And that could be him manipulating MAGA. That could be like the famous MAGA manipulating public perception. It could be something along those lines. So again, just really interesting. That looks like we're finishing off the month with regime with a focus on skewed communication. All right, folks. Well, that looks like that'll do it for this tableau. I guess it's good to know that it's going to be kind of a not so crazy, not so hectic end of the month. I don't know. That's something, right? At this point, I'll take it. Keep an eye out on some of the messaging around these cronies of his, because I think that is possibly, took up so much of the tableau, basically this entire block here. It's really interesting. It may turn into something big. I don't know. Anyway, let me know what you think down in the comments. And if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up. And if you enjoy political divination, feel free to hit the subscribe. Stick around and become part of the community. We would love to have you. If you have anybody or any topics that you want me to do a grand tableau on, throw them down there in the comments section, and I may just try to do them. I've been looking to do some more tableaus more frequently, so that would be fun and exciting, I think. All right, folks, that will do it. And you all have a great rest of your week, and I will see you in the next video.